The diplomatic shuttle descended through the violet skies of outpost Kepler 442, carrying what Emperor Vaxon considered his greatest insult yet to the human colonies. Inside sat Princess Lisa, third daughter of the Krill Empire, her crystalline scales catching the artificial light as she stared out the viewport, with resignation etched across her broad features. Lisa knew exactly what this was. Her father had laughed, actually laughed, when proposing this cultural exchange with the human settlement. Among the Krill, whose society prized the lean, swift hunters of their ancestral forests, Lisa's body type was considered shameful. She had been fed the ceremonial cake since childhood, fattened for a role in the breeding chambers, but her sharp mind had other plans. She'd studied engineering, xenobiology, and 7 languages. None of it mattered to her father. He saw only her size. A human mechanic, the Emperor had sneered. They're desperate for legitimacy, so we'll send them our fattest failure. Let them understand what we think of their kind. The shuttle touched down with a hydraulic hiss. Lisa gathered what remained of her dignity, smoothing her diplomatic robes over her thick torso. The fabric had been specially tailored to emphasize rather than hide her bulk, another of her father's cruel touches. Leo wiped grease from his hands onto his already stained coveralls, squinting at the descending shuttle. As Outpost Kepler 442's chief mechanic and reluctant diplomatic liaison, the colony was only 300 strong. He'd been voluntold to welcome whatever dignitary the Krill were sending. The Empire had been cold to humanity ever since first contact 15 years ago, treating Earth's representatives with barely disguised contempt. He didn't care about politics. He cared about keeping the atmospheric processors running and ensuring the hydroponic bays didn't freeze during the long nights. But orders were orders. The shuttle ramp descended with a mechanical whine that made Leo wince. He'd have to check those actuators. Then she appeared. Princess Lisa moved with surprising grace for someone of her size, her head held high despite the obvious discomfort in her golden eyes. She was massive by Krill standards, her body thick and powerful, her scales shimmering in patterns Leo had never seen on the slim Krill diplomats who'd visited before. Where they had been angular and sharp, she was curved and substantial. Leo thought she was magnificent. Princess Lisa of the Krill Empire, she announced formally, her voice melodious despite the translator's metallic overlay. I have been sent to facilitate cultural understanding between our peoples. She waited for the look, the one she always received. Disappointment, disgust, pity. Instead, Leo's face broke into a genuine smile. Holy hell, you're gorgeous, he said, then immediately turned red. I mean, welcome. I'm Leo, sorry, I just wasn't expecting, you're really something. Lisa blinked, her translucent inner eyelids flickering in confusion. Excuse me? Your scale patterns, Leo continued, recovering his composure slightly. I've been studying Krill physiology, trying to understand your people's tech better. And I've never seen coloring like that. Those iridescent patches, absolutely beautiful. And that's some serious muscle mass. You must be incredibly strong. For the first time in her life, Lisa found herself speechless. Over the following weeks, Leo showed Lisa around the outpost with unconcealed enthusiasm. He asked her opinion on everything: the fusion reactor's efficiency curves, the optimal mixture for the hydroponics, even the recycling systems. He listened when she spoke, actually listened, his dark eyes focused and intent. The problem with your atmospheric scrubbers, Lisa explained one evening, both of them elbow-deep in machinery, is that you're using a human standard filter. Krill technology uses a 3-stage process that's 60% more efficient. Can you show me? Leo asked immediately. She could. Together, they redesigned the entire system, Lisa's theoretical knowledge combining with Leo's practical experience. They worked late into the nights, talking about everything from quantum mechanics to childhood memories. Lisa learned that Leo had grown up on Earth in a place called Brazil before volunteering for the colony program. He'd left behind a world that felt too small, too judgmental of anyone who didn't fit the mold. I get that, Lisa said quietly one night, her massive frame squeezed into the maintenance crawl space beside him. My father thinks I'm a disappointment because I don't look like my sisters. Because I chose books over breeding chambers. Leo set down his plasma wrench and looked at her directly. Your father's an idiot. Lisa's throat sacs inflated, a Krill laugh. You can't say that about an emperor. Just did. Anyone who can't see how brilliant you are? Idiot. Anyone who reduces you to your body instead of your mind? Double idiot. You've revolutionized half our systems in 3 weeks. You speak 7 languages. You're funny, you're kind, and yeah, you're also stunning. If your father sent you here as an insult, joke's on him. We got the best thing the Krill Empire has to offer. Lisa felt something crack inside her chest. Some wall she'd built years ago, stone by painful stone. Leo, I mean it, he said firmly. Every word. The cultural exchange was supposed to last 3 months. When the retrieval shuttle arrived, Lisa stood on the landing pad in her diplomatic robes, watching Leo approach with his characteristic loose-limbed walk. The entire colony had come to see her off, many of them in tears. She'd helped each of them in some way, fixing their equipment, teaching their children, listening to their stories. But it was Leo whose opinion mattered most. So, he said, stopping in front of her, I know I'm just a grease monkey from a tiny colony, and you're literal royalty. But I have to ask, do you have to go back? Lisa's heart, all 3 chambers of it, began racing. I am the Emperor's daughter. I have duties. What if you had different duties? Leo pulled out a data pad. The Colony Council voted unanimously. We want to offer you permanent residency, Chief Engineering Officer position, full citizenship. We need you, Lisa. I need you. He paused, vulnerability clear on his face. Not because you're useful, though you are, but because these have been the best 3 months of my life. Because when I think about you leaving, I can't breathe right. Because I think I'm falling in love with you. Lisa looked at the shuttle, then back at Leo. She thought of her father's contemptuous laugh, her sister's barely concealed relief when she'd left. She thought of a lifetime of being too much, too big, too smart, too ambitious for the role assigned to her. Then she thought of Leo's smile when she solved a problem. The way he brought her coffee exactly how she liked it. How he'd told her she was perfect at least once a day in a dozen different ways, until she'd almost started to believe it. The Emperor sent me here as a joke, she said slowly. Best joke ever told, Leo replied. Lisa's throat sacs inflated again. That deep rumbling laugh that Leo loved. She reached out with one thick, powerful arm and pulled him close. Then I accept your offer, Chief Mechanic Leo. All of it. As the shuttle departed empty, carrying only a formal resignation addressed to an emperor who would rage and fume and ultimately not care enough to start a war over one disappointing daughter, Lisa stood with Leo's hand in hers and watched the violet sky. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was exactly where she belonged. The end.